Boom! What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. It's Monday. It's Money Making Monday. We have our guy Rob Veno here with us from Wager Talk, as we do every Monday, man. Ready to get some cash with our guy Rob, man. How you doing, my brother? Everything cool with you?
I am good today, Jay. Good day yesterday with the Super Bowl. Good weekend. Ready to go here. We fly into All-Star break this week, right? So we'll see. It gets a little tricky at this point. These few games this week.
Yeah, that's a fact right there, man. I'll be honest, I can't wait for a little vacation as well, man. But what does it start on Thursday? Right now, so Friday. So we got games all the way to Friday, and then after that, we'll be off until next Thursday, my guys. So I know me personally, I can't wait to get a little vacation in. But like I said, we got 5 days up until the All-Star break. Can be crazy as well. Obviously, a little bit smaller volume units, all that good stuff. But after All-Star break, that's when the real season starts, in my opinion. But first game up, it's all business here on the show. First game up, we're going heading over to the streets of Charlotte here, guys. We have the Hornets getting 5.5 points at the house versus the Atlanta Hawks in this one. The Hornets only have 15 wins on the season, but two of those were versus the Atlanta Hawks here, Rob. The road team has won each of the games, have won and covered each of the three meetings so far this season as well. Do you think the Hawks can get a little bit of revenge here, or do the Hornets just a bad matchup for the Hawks here?
Well, it could be a little of both, right? I think the Hornets could be a little bit of a bad matchup, especially um, excuse me here, guys, for not having within the last 20 minutes on these injury updates. But I did show before we came on, Jay, John Collins and Bogdanovich with question marks. I don't know if those still exist. If they do, it makes Atlanta even tougher to really go full steam ahead with. But I'm going to lean on what you preach an awful lot here. There's certain teams that don't feel like winning. And the last three games out of Charlotte seem to be indicators that they don't care if they come close anymore or not, because been beaten pretty soundly 3 straight times. Atlanta's taken the other approach. They've gotten better over the course of the last couple of weeks here. And Sadiq Bey, in my mind, a nice little addition to this Atlanta team. He does a lot of the dirty work and can still score 20 plus at the same time if need be. I'd probably lean Atlanta, Jay. The last two games here were 231 and 240 where total is concerned. It would be easy to say it should be a high scoring game, but again, the odds makers have priced us out of a lot of these totals. 240 here seems high for a Charlotte team that some nights can't shoot at all. In fact, I think they're the worst 3-point shooting team in the NBA, so you can't really rely on them to put up their share. If it were me, Jay, and I didn't play, it would be Atlanta or nothing.
Yeah, it's real simple with this one, man. It's Hawks are nothing for me in this one. They are 4-2 against the spread in their 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 games as well. So Hawks have been playing a little bit better as well. They're coming off 2 straight home games, home wins versus the Suns versus the Spurs, where they covered in those. They do have the Knicks on deck, but like I say, with them only being with them being 1-2 versus the Hornets this season, we know the Hornets aren't necessarily trying. I mean, maybe early in the year they were like, I always say early in the year everybody has an even record, right? So no one's tanking toward the early the beginning of the season, but now we know exactly what these teams are. The Hornets have lost 7 straight games. They haven't covered 6 straight as well. 0-6 against the spread last 6. I want no parts of the Hornets here. I want no parts of the Hornets for the rest of the season. They did come out hot versus the Nuggets. We're up double digits and ended up in the first quarter and first half, but as you can see, what the Tanks teams do, they'll come out and play the first half. Second half, they got blown away in this one, man. So not going anywhere near the Hornets for me. It's Hawks or nothing for me in this one. Cannot talk you off the Hawks. It did open up at 4.5, sitting at 5.5 now. It's Hawks or nothing for me. I see a double-digit win coming from the Hawks in this one. Set over here to the streets of Indiana here, Rob. We got the Pacers getting a point at the house versus the Jazz. This line did open up as Pacers laying 2.5. Quickly came down, then Miles Turner and Halliburton on the injury report here. How you looking at this game?
Well, that kind of destroyed it for me overnight, Jay. I really liked the total here. I mean, I've got a little check mark next to Utah as potentially being one of the 2 or 3 worst defensive teams after the trade deadline occurred. Not that they were good before it happened, but after it happened, when you start looking at their starting lineup and you see Sexton, Clarkson, Markkanen, Olynyk, and Walker Kessler, who I do give the benefit of the doubt as being a really good defensive player. I mean, Houston took Jabari Smith number 3 overall, and his teammate Walker Kessler didn't go, and Walker Kessler's having just as good a year. I like the Jazz to be an over team the rest of the way out. The price doesn't scare me too much. But of course, if you don't have Tyrese Halliburton or Miles Turner, everything's off. Everything's off where the total's concerned. It's off where Indiana's concerned. And you play Utah, who still, I talk about them being, me having them checked off as a really horrendous defensive team, and I want to play over. But they show signs of life as a team. It's not one of these teams that goes out there and tries to lose. The comeback victory a couple of nights back, the first night after the trade deadline, was a great fourth quarter out of the Jazz and showed that they do have heart. So I think as we go on during the day, Jay, I'm going to probably pay pretty close attention to what's happening here with Halliburton and Turner. And you hope you can guess early enough because you don't want to see this line get inflated because you're too late to the party. But Utah would be a good little spot here if I could somehow read between the lines that maybe Halliburton or Turner, especially Halliburton, isn't a go.
Exactly. Yeah, Halliburton, I like to say is like 90% of that offense, man. It's hard to give that guy so much credit, but we saw when he was out, you got guys like Buddy Hield handling the ball, and that's just not you want. I like TJ McConnell back up, but Nembhard he had like a few good games early season. He's fallen all the way off as well. I saw the coach. This is the thing I didn't like. I saw the coach kind of talking about Mathurin and stuff, saying that you can't just look at offense and stuff. So maybe starting to wonder if Carlisle's kind of losing the team. Now, we saw this last year as well, where he basically lost the team for sure. Now this year they came in a lot more hungry. Looked like the Patriots had the chance to play get in the playoffs. But as I was telling people early season when they were sitting at like the number 5 seed, I'm like, don't get too ahead of yourself. The Pacers might drop out of the playoff picture, man. Only 2-8 straight up last 10 games. I'd be honest, I did want to take the Pacers in this one, but when you see Halliburton and Turner pop up in this one, you almost wonder if the Pacers even want to start to revert to not necessarily trying to lose games, but I hope it makes sense. If you're not going to make the playoffs, you might as well try to get your best position for a draft pick here. So the Jazz, they're also in that same boat as well. I know that I'm not backing them on the road. This is their 3rd straight home game. And they have another one in Memphis on deck here. So it's a really tough game, but I must say I was leaning Pacers in this one. I do think they have some matchup advantages, but you definitely need Halliburton and Turner in there for sure. I'm off this game, man. My guy Mo says, do we fade Pacers in the first quarter? I think you got to see what's going on with Halliburton, Simba. You got to see what's Turner don't even really matter a whole lot. It's Halliburton, in my opinion, here, man. So tough game, I must say, because it's hard to figure out the Jazz. What do you think? Do you think that the Pacers might come out slow in this one, or basically got to wait on Hallie here, Rob?
Yeah, I was just going to add that after when we got to the next game, Jay, 17-40 against the spread in the first quarter. Come on, you can mechanically fade Indiana first quarter without thinking at all, Halliburton or not, and cash tickets. I mean, that's a 57 game sample out of 82. 40 first quarter losses against the spread out of 57 games. To Moises, I would say, yes, you can absolutely. You don't have to go crazy with it, but if you just want to mechanically put a couple of bucks every single day on that, you're making money.
Facts. That's a fact right there, man. It's been a good proposition fading the Pacers in the first quarter. Set up here to the streets of Philly here, Rob. We got the Sixers laying 13.5 points versus the Rockets. Rockets taking money here, Rob. This line opened up at 15.5. I watched it go down to 14.5. I saw 13s popping up before they said Embiid went through shoot around. What do you think? Should do the Sixers take these Rockets to Smack City tonight?
Well, eventually, I keep thinking they're going to rest Joel one of these games. Jay shows up every single day in the injury report, just like you just said, but he continues to play and he continues to dominate, right? Never mind just play. I mean, Joel is having an MVP type season. Maybe an axe to grind on his part, again, for not making a starting unit in the All-Star game. I know this type of stuff, although he's not the type to come out and publicly go nuts. It does eat at him a little bit. But I would say
now,
that
Rob. He is. I think he's starting now. Yeah, like for injury, you know how they do it. I think he will be a starter now because of some injuries, but I just want to note that.
So with him, Jay, like I said, I keep waiting for them to rest, and to rest against Houston would be the ideal spot, but I don't know that he will. All that being said, we talked about tanking teams right off the top here with Charlotte. Houston fits in that category, but you said it best. These teams play. Houston will give you 3 quarters. Houston will give you 3.5 quarters until they realize, holy shit, we might win this game. And then they all duck and hide and they lose the game, right? It happened against Miami a couple of nights ago. They were plus 12 in Miami. Of course, Miami's a horrendous home favorite and probably the most overpriced team in the NBA if you just go straight up records to ATS records. But still, it shows you that Rockets do have some semblance of life. It's a lot of points. It's hard for me. I think we had Philly on a Monday, Jay, 2 weeks ago after the NFC Championship game,
Yeah.
and it was hangover Monday for the Sixers, right? They did not cover. Big favorites against Orlando. And I think we came on this show and said we're on Orlando. It worked out.
Mhm.
I would say the same thing. Yesterday's Super Bowl is a major hangover for this
Yes,
team,
sir.
for this city. Crowd will be light. Houston plus a lot of points seems like the way to go for me.
I like the Rockets here. I like them at plus 15.5. I like them at plus 14.5. And I still like them at plus 13.5. I told the guys on the night show last night, Rob, I would feel comfortable playing Rockets plus 10.5 here at plus money. I think they can keep this within double digits. I think they're going to be in the game just like the Heat. I mean, we're kind of seeing something from the Rockets here now, Rob. They're going to lose games. They've lost 5 straight, but they have covered 5 of their last 7, 5-2 against the spread last 7. I mean, so that's what you want to notice. Teams like this that are not good, that have been playing horrible all season, but now they're catching double digits. Now the Rockets might actually try to be feisty, especially some of these top tier teams. They're not going to win the game, guys. They have no aspirations of winning this game. But when it comes to at least playing hard for 3.5 quarters, like you said, or even playing hard for all 4 quarters, you know you're not going to win. You just need to keep it close for the point spread here. This is a sleepy spot for the Sixers here, whether they won or lost yesterday. I still feel like the fans will be somewhat out of the game. I still feel like maybe some of these guys as well. I mean, everybody watched the Super Bowl. Everybody's going to have a little party, have a little drink, all that stuff. We don't play in the NBA, though. You see what I'm saying? So this team has to come the next day and lay 13.5 points. I don't agree with it. I think the Rockets get the cash here. Now, obviously, do you have to be in a hurry to go bet the Rockets? No, not really. I mean, if you don't want to bet them, you don't have to. But I do think the Rockets are the right side in this one. Like I say, Sixers, I don't want to trust them in this point spread range, especially with the spot as well. And you nailed it, Rob. There was going to be a spot to rest Embiid. It would be here. I don't really care if Embiid plays or not in this one. Cavs on deck versus the Cavs on deck for the Sixers here, coming off 4 huge games as well. Horrible sandwich spot. I like the Rockets here. Like I said, I'd play plus 10.5 at plus money, in my opinion. That's how confident I am that the Rockets cover this spread tonight, guys. So over here to the streets of New York here, Rob. We got the Knicks land 2 points at the house versus the Nets in this one, my guy. The Nets have beaten the Knicks 9 straight times. Rob, do you think today is the day that the Knicks can finally get some revenge?
You know, it could be, but I'm not going to stand in front of that train. I liked under, Jay, off the openers. Now they've bet it down 224.5 to 220.5. But I will say the reason that I liked under is because the trade deadline brought nothing but, I won't say nothing but it brought an overwhelming amount of defensive help to both of these teams. To start Josh Hart at shooting guard for the Knicks, Tom Thibodeau has to be jumping for joy to get rid of Cam Reddish and get Josh Hart in there. It makes them a better defensive team. They're at their best with Mitchell Robinson, but Jericho Sims is a good rim protector. So I think the Knicks are a better defensive team. That being said, you had Dorian Finney-Smith and Mikal Bridges as your starting small and shooting guard, and all of a sudden they're a really good wing defending team. The Brooklyn Nets, they played hard the other night. Lose 102-99, I think it was, to Philadelphia. That game only hits 201. To me, Philadelphia is a much better offensive team than the Knicks are. The Knicks are kind of a 2-man squad. Randall, well, I won't say 3-man squad because we have to include RJ Barrett in that mix. But all that said, Jay, I think the defenses are better. I think you'll see a lot of effort out of Brooklyn the rest of the way. I know some guys feel like Brooklyn's a fade because of the trade deadline, but I don't see it that way. I see this as a group that is still in playoff contention and wants to win. I'd look for more of a defensive presence here on both sides. I still think there's room to cash with under 220.5. That's the way I look.
Yeah, that's a good point there. I'm going to say the Nets did get better defensively. I feel like it's more on the guards, though, Rob, because remember, they still only have Claxton down low, basically. I mean, you still don't really have a true center, and you really don't have anybody coming off the bench. So that's what scares me here. I like the look from my guy Jerry in the chat. Randall double-double in there, especially plus 160. We know he's going to get the points. He just have to get the rebounds as well. They just went up against the Jazz, Rob, where they had basically 3 towers. Well, Olynyk not really a tower, really. I mean, he's tall, but he's not built like that. But Walker Kessler and Laurie Marketing, now they're going up against a much smaller team here. Knicks is what, and his first game on the road after 5 straight home games for the Nets in this one as well. What do the Knicks do when they play well? They come out early in this one. Shout out to my guy Troy as well in the chat. He's saying, hey, their first game on the road since having a new team. He likes Knicks in the first half, -1. I couldn't talk him off that, man. I want to lean Knicks here. They've been owned by the Nets, but obviously a lot of those games had Kyrie, KD, and James Harden in there. All those guys are gone. So when you lose 9 straight versus a team and they have new guys out there, I love what they did. Like you said, Cam Johnson. So you got Cam Johnson, you got Mikal Bridges, and Dorian Finney-Smith. So I love those 3 pieces, but I do feel like it's more on the wing where they're great defending. Down low, you can still get somewhat whatever you want in this one. If I'm playing this game, I'm playing Knicks first quarter, first half, my guys. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they catch the trifecta, but sometimes the Knicks can falter late in games, like for whatever reason it tightens up and then their offense just goes to shit, man. But to start this one off, second straight home game for them, and Nets first game on the road after 5 straight home being comfortable. I know they're not going far, but it's still a new arena, guys. Knicks first quarter, first half should get there, in my opinion, man. Let's go over here to the next game here. Intriguing game, Rob. We got the Heat getting a 1.5 at the house versus the Nuggets. This one befuddled a lot of people. I'm doing the light show, and the Heat were laying 2 last night, Rob. Now Hero come out there before Hero's even doubtful. Money's coming in on Nuggets. I told him, if you want Nuggets, you better take this shit tonight because the public's gonna be all over this. I'm not saying it won't cash, but this is a fishy game in my opinion here, Rob. What do you think happens here, my brother?
Yeah, and real quick to the I forget who it was in the chat, Jay, that suggested Knicks first half. They're the best team in the NBA first half against the spread, 39-17. It's always a good play to play the Knicks first half. Yeah, I still like Denver, Jay. I mean, I can't get over, and I know they could be half-hearted efforts against Houston and Orlando, but Miami barely escaped against, but they're just not playing good enough. And Hero had a big game in one of those 2, if not both. And without him, I just don't know. You know, Jokic against Bam sort of neutralizes a lot of what Bam has done the last month. He's been the best player on this team. There's no question that Adebayo's been great. Jimmy's been, you know, in and out. Some nights great, some nights not so great. But Miami, there's just been something wrong all season long. And I talked about their point spread numbers as opposed to their straight up numbers. I'm not going to run them off here on the show, Jay, because we're always time constrained. But if you just want to go look, just compare what their straight up marks are, which are really good, to their ATS marks, which are really poor. And it shows you that the odds maker hasn't priced this team right all season long. I don't think they're priced right here. Yeah, Denver got away with one in Charlotte the other night because Charlotte realized they were winning again and then decided, oh, crap, we can't win the game. But Jokic is a bear for Adebayo to contend with. The problem with the Nuggets, of course, is the injury situation here. You'd like to have Jamal Murray back. You wouldn't want to who was it? Gordon? I'm trying to check here. I thought somebody else was questionable for Denver here tonight.
I think it's Gordon. I think it is Gordon.
And you want both of those guys in here. So we'll have to see during the day how that goes. But to me, Denver's just a better team with better cohesion. I know it's a road game, but still, I think I would like the Nuggets here.
Yeah, no, I'll be honest, guy. And sometimes we could overthink it. I don't like this game. I think this is one where you might trust the odds makers' numbers on the open line. Obviously, Hero is not good for the Heat. But look at this. Maybe this is why they had the Heat favored in this one. The Nuggets have not been playing well on the road. In their last 6 road games, they're 1-5 against the spread and only 2-4 straight up. The high-flying Nuggets. And we got to remember as well, this team played a ton of home games in the first half of the season. That's why their record looked the way it did. They weren't doing a lot of traveling. They weren't traveling to the East Coast, none of it. It was mainly on the Western Coast and a lot of games at the house. Now they're going to have a ton of games on the road here. I mean, obviously, you got to have the same amount of home as road. So you played a ton of home at first. You're due for a lot of road here. I don't like this game, man. They got the Mavs on deck as well. The Nuggets should win. The Nuggets are the better overall team here for sure. But this number is super sketchy, in my opinion. And I think the odds makers got exactly what they wanted. All the money to come on the Nuggets here. So, I mean, like I say, I would like to bet the Nuggets here, but it seems like a super fishy game. I think them opening Heat -2 here is a bit telling in my opinion here, man. So super tough game. I'm staying off of it. I wouldn't even bet. I could really see it being a toss-up. You want to take Nuggets, but don't be a bit surprised to see if the Heat pull out a win in this one, guys. Set over here to the streets to Chicago here, Rob. We got the Bulls laying 5 points at the house versus the Orlando Magic. Got to look at Wendell Carter Jr. props in this whenever he plays the Bulls, Rob.
Yeah, and on the other side of the coin, you have to continue to look at Vucevic props for the Bulls because he just continues to put up huge numbers. Again, we'll be repetitive here. I know we've said it here before on the show, but ever since Billy Donovan said they're going to run their offense through their center, his PRA, his PR, his PA, however you want to play props, and I'm not a big player prop guy, but this one I have kind of ridden to the window quite a bit over the course of the last 3.5 weeks. So check out Vucevic, who, interestingly, Jay, rose all the way up to 36.5 PRA 2 weeks ago, 2 games ago, and then fell to 32.5 last game. So I think they're making these numbers dependent upon opponent. Orlando is tall, right? Orlando's got length, interior problems for Vucevic, but he's faced a lot of centers in that category and done well. Aside from that, I'm going to say that I like Orlando here just because I like the makeup of the team and I like the energy that they bring. And I like the fact that, for you and for guys like you and I that are going to bet them every day or almost every day, I think one of the main things we ask for is just give us effort. If you give me 48 minutes, if I can count on that, I can handicap it. And I think with Orlando, you get it. The depth is there. They made these trade deadline moves and then they immediately waived all the veteran garbage. So they're going to stick with their core group. And again, the way they're built, Jay, big on the front line, with the ability to score on the front line, with depth in the backcourt, I kind of like them. I mean, I don't know that Chicago's a little bit too up and down for me. I don't trust them as a favorite. So I would say Orlando plus points is a way to roll for me.
It's pretty simple. The Magic play hard. They're playing for their coach. The Bulls aren't right now. It could be another case where Donovan's kind of sort of losing the team. Now we know that Levine was likely about to get traded. That popped up basically everywhere, right? Now the trade deadline came and he didn't, because we know that Levine and DeRozan isn't working right now. They're coming off 3 straight road games as well. 3 straight up and against spread last 3. I don't like what I'm seeing versus the Bulls here, in my opinion. They had that game versus the Cavs. That was a prime game for the Bulls to finally get some revenge over the Cavs. And guess what? They end up pissing out in a way. That was a horrible spot for Cavs. 5th game in 7 nights, and they still end up getting it done and hold the Bulls to only 89 points, guys. So they're coming off 3 straight losses, and even their last game at the house versus the Spurs as well. They end up winning the game by 24, but don't let that skew you differently. They have to outscore the Spurs by 38-19 in the 4th quarter to pull away. So that was a super close game. Spurs end up covering the first half on them boys, all that, man. So I'm starting to get worried about the Bulls and the Magic. They're a bet on team. I'm watching them, and this team is playing locked in defense. They're moving the ball offensively. I'm talking about moving around, making threes. I like what I see from the Magic, especially for years to come, man. So I love what I'm seeing with the Magic team. That's the only way I could look here. Yeah, I like Magic here plus the 5. That's the only way I could look. And like I say, Wendell Carter Jr., guys, every single time he plays up against the Bulls, he was drafted by the Bulls. He was traded away. He didn't want to get traded away as well. He has something to say every single time he plays against them, guys. So Wendell Carter Jr., points and rebounds, usually cashes every single time he plays versus the Bulls. And I like the Magic here plus the 5, guys. That's the only way that I would be looking at this game. 3 more games here, Rob, or 4 more games. Let's go over here to the streets of OKC here. We got the Thunder land 2.5 points versus the New Orleans Pelicans here, Rob.
Well, everything we just said about Orlando, we can definitely apply to OKC, right? And even more so. I mean, OKC is a game out of 7th place tonight. If they beat New Orleans, they'll be in a flat-footed tie with New Orleans. OKC's the 10 seed. New Orleans right now is the 7th seed. So up they go in this game. I tell you what, Jay, I think we've said it before, but it's time that everybody, not just people that are betting these games every day in the NBA, but everybody recognizes that Oklahoma City is a real threat. They're a playoff team. They're not this team that was going to be lottery bound and, try and tank games. So CJ McCollum's the problem for New Orleans tonight, right? Question mark next to his name. You don't want to go in there. And as much as I love Alvarado for the 18, 19 minutes that he gives, you don't want him as your starting point in this game. You don't have enough offense as is. Here's what I wonder. Again, and let me get to stuff that you look at close. I wonder if there's any bit of like a little depressed mode in the New Orleans locker room off the Zion news, right? You think Zion's coming back. He's coming back. Okay, if we could just hang in there, we can get Zion. And now he's not coming back for even longer. And I just wonder how that affects the mental psyche of this team that's been hanging by a thread for the better part of 3 weeks anyway. Oklahoma City's the better team, but do I trust to lay 2.5 here? That's the question. Total, let me just run these last 4 game totals for Oklahoma City. Against Portland, 257, Lakers, 263, Golden State, 255, Houston, 274. I mean, if there's anybody that wants to run and score and run and score and run and score, it's this team. Generally, I would think New Orleans could slow them down. I'm not so sure they can here. I'm in a bit of a quandary with this one, Jay, but I think I would almost have to lay 2.5 with OKC. I think they see where they are in the standings and they want this win to move up the ladder against a team that's ahead of them.
Yeah, no, the Pelicans are definitely ahead of them. And you make a really good point, Rob. That's something I'm thinking about as well. Could they be kind of down on themselves from the Zion news? But he has been out for a while. He's just going to be out for a little extended time. I still think the Pelicans are a playoff team, in my opinion, man. And they can still get Zion right before the season. So even if they get him back in the playoffs, guys, the real season starts when the playoffs start. So they could literally not have Zion back for the rest of the regular season. And if they still make it and they have him if they make the playoffs or even play in tournament in it, that's the only thing that matters in that one. So they could be a little down. I'm sure they're not happy about it here, but what did the Pelicans just do? They had lost 10 straight games here. This is a winnable game for the Pelicans, in my opinion. I could sit now. I like the Thunder. I love the way this team plays. They play collectively. A lot of people do disrespect them, but they're the number one ATS team in the league this year, guys. So it's not something like the Thunder are going under the radar. Remember, they were never laying points. Now they're starting to lay points as well. People know what SGA does, right? But one key point on the totals, Rob, every team that they've been going over with don't play defense. The last couple of teams that they've played defense, they did beat the Cavs 112-100. That was a lower score game. Then they beat the Nuggets as well, 100-99. Both of those games, they were catching both teams in back-to-back third game in 4 nights, and I believe fourth game in 6 nights as well. So the Thunder have done well with their schedule, but they are coming off a couple of huge games. I'm listening to the post-game interviews last night as well, and they admitted those are a couple of huge games versus the Lakers and the Blazers as well. And that one, I think they come home and get smacked up today, man. I actually like now obviously you need CJ in there. Right. But I do think the Pelicans have some matchup advantages when it comes to size, right? So Valanciunas isn't the best at defending the rim, but when you have guys like Herb Jones, Najee Marshall, it's with Trey Murphy as well, you have 3 guys that you can put size on SGA. So these guys that they were going up against, they were talking about how the Blazers had no interior defense. It's not going to necessarily be the case tonight. Like I say, Valanciunas in the best, but when you guys bring guys like Jackson Hayes off the bench, Larry Nance Jr., these guys can defend the paint. They can defend the rim as well. And they have size here. I personally, what I see the Thunder having a letdown. I see everyone hopping on the Thunder today thinking shit's easy. I think it could be a little bit of injury report manipulation as well with CJ coming up on a high ankle sprain. I never saw him get injured. So I'm looking towards the Pelicans here strongly as well. They had just won 3 straight games. Brandon Ingram says winning is contagious. I also see Ingram going off tonight. It's a matchup nightmare for him. But they come off their loss versus the Cavs, but they just ran into a buzzsaw. The Cavs are too hot right now. I think the Pelicans are still due to come up as well and start winning some of these games here. I like the Pelicans here, plus the 2.5, and I like them first quarter as well. Obviously, you need CJ out there. Maybe wait on him, but I think this is a Pelicans type of game, bounce back game for the Pelicans and a letdown spot for the Thunder. That's just what I see. I always tell people, go with your gut, bet with whatever you know, my guys. That's what I say. But I like the Pellies, fly in that one. Let's go over here to the streets of Dallas here, Rob. We got the Mavs laying 7.5 points at the house versus the Wolves, my guy. How you looking at this one?
Well, we see a couple of little small turnarounds by the Mavericks, right? They want to play a little quicker now. And boy, Jay, they do seem to have some cohesiveness. Every single thing I've read out of Dallas, players talking about Kyrie, can't praise him enough. First to practice, first to help. Great teammate. And that's the way it is with Kyrie, right? It always starts great. We wonder we hope it ends well if you're a Mavs fan, right? But Luka got his first game back the other night. They couldn't close it out against Sacramento. They won the first game there. They couldn't close the second game. Their point totals are just getting up there now. And when you watch them play, I tell you what, all the pieces are there for them to be a 115 plus scoring team every single night of the week. Now, there's no reason why they should intentionally try to slow and play Luka ISO ball anymore. There really is no reason. So that being said, I look at Minnesota and I just don't know where the offense comes from. I love the effort. We've talked about it a lot, how they've been a little bit excited to play defense. I get it, but I just don't know personnel that they match up with Dallas, who probably is hungry for this win. I think they wanted it the other night. De'Aaron Fox just wanted it more for Sacramento. the matchups here really don't favor Minnesota. I mean, I can't. If Luka plays point, which he probably does, and Kyrie plays off the ball, Mike Conley Jr., come on, he's not going to handle either one. I just don't know where Minnesota got any better. Trying to make Rudy Gobert happy by bringing in Mike Conley isn't a way to make your team any better. And they, aside from Anthony Edwards, they're not that dependable offensively anyway. I think Minnesota can go through droughts in this game. So I like Dallas. I think Dallas can win by double digits in this game because I think there'll be a spurt here where Dallas takes off and doesn't give it back. Yeah, Dallas is still shy at the rim. I get it. But I think the adjustment here to go tempo might benefit them the way it does Oklahoma City, who plays with no rim protection but runs other teams down. And you know them as well as anybody, but the emergence here of Green and Hardy is really pretty fun if you're a Mavericks fan. These guys can play. So I like Dallas. I'm kind of leaning over as well, but I like the Mavericks in this game.
A few things I'm worried about. One, Tim Hardaway Jr. questionable with a hamstring. So, I mean, I'd probably say greater than 50% chance he doesn't play. First game back home off a 5-game road trip. That's a fade, in my opinion. Luka and Kyrie. I'll be honest with you. Luka should have sat his ass out for a couple more weeks, man. That's what I think. I think Kyrie running the team was going actually pretty well. They were trying to play faster. Now, Luka doesn't play fast. He just doesn't. He's not even built like that, really. But I really feel like that hurt them versus the Kings. The Mavs are better than the Kings. They could have beat them 2 straight times. Luka came in there and fucked things up, guys. I'm telling you that right now. With Kyrie, for whatever reason, they were playing a lot faster, a lot more fluent. Kyrie wasn't one to force the ball. When Luka's in there, you kind of have to force the ball to him. That's just the Mavs offense. I don't like it. I think it's going to take a little time to get used to as well. I think 7.5 is too much, especially if Tim Hardaway Jr. is out in this one. Rudy Gobert, Kyle Anderson, both questionable. You will need them to hop on the Wolves here, guys. I love this Mavs team. I love the Kyrie addition. I think it's going to work wonders. But at least for a little while, especially with him and Luka, the tandem, it's going to take a little time, especially with them figuring out the pace as well. System play would say take the Timberwolves here in the first quarter. That's fading the team coming off a 4-more game road trip as well. First game back at the house, and they're coming off an overtime game as well. 3rd game in 4 nights and 4th game in 6 nights for the Mavs as well, with travel as well. Only 1 day off rest. The Timberwolves, actually, this is their 4th straight road game, but they did have a couple days rest. So guess what they did? They had a practice yesterday to work in all the kinks. Just remember, Rob, these teams don't even really practice during the season, man. So when you can get a practice, I think that's something to be said for. I think the Timberwolves come out here and cover the first quarter. On the money line, I think they'll have the lead at the end of the first quarter. And I also think the Timberwolves cover this 7.5, Rob. I know the Mavs usually cover when we come on Monday, but this is a horrible spot for the Mavs. And one thing I do disagree with you, I do think the Timberwolves can match up really well with the Mavs, in my opinion, here, man. So I'll be looking at the Timberwolves here. I don't like the spot for my Mavs, and I don't like the point spread as well. I think this one should be closer to 4.5, 5, in my opinion, especially with the Wolves having the major rest advantage. I know they have been playing well on the road, but I love my Mavs. I think we'll make a lot of money with them. I think the Mavs win this game, but I do think it'll be closer than a lot of people think. That's just what I think, man. But I mean, hell, what do I know, Rob? But I think the Wolves can match up well with them, especially if Anderson and Gobert plays in this one. And you make good. I didn't even think about that Conley had already played with Gobert. I didn't even think about that shit. To be honest with you, I just know that Conley came in there and messed things up versus the Grizzlies, right? But this is 2nd game back. They're catching points in this one. I just like the spot for the Wolves more so that I don't like the spot for the Mavs as well in this one, Rob. Anything else on this one?
Yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot about Josh Green's defensive capability tonight because I think they're going to shove him on Anthony Edwards and see if they can cut the head off the snake here for Minnesota because I don't know where else they really go 4 points Minnesota consistently if they don't get him. We're going to see, and to your point, this falls on Jason Kidd's shoulders right now, right? He's got to work out these minutes when Kyrie's on the floor, when Luka's on the floor, when they're both on the floor. And I think, it's funny, and I don't want to drag it on real quick, but all of a sudden, JaVale McGee is out there running around like he's 22 years old again, wanting to catch lobs from Kyrie and dunk. And Christian Wood had himself sat down that first Sacramento game because he was trying to force offense, and Jason Kidd was trying to prove the point that we need your offense in the second unit, but we can't have you forcing. He was 5 for 6, I think, when it was coming through the offense, and then he started to have a couple of heat checks, and he went to the bench in favor of Theo Pinson, and things kind of fell apart. But Yeah, there's stuff to work out here. I just like what I see in Dallas as far as camaraderie is concerned right now.
No, that's a fact. And one more key point on this: you do not want Theo Pinson in the game. That's something that I noticed as well. Theo Pinson he's a cool guy, he's a good teammate, but he is not a guy that should be getting minutes. If Theo Pinson is playing this game, I think the Wolves will definitely cover his game. He does not to be deserving to be getting minutes on an NBA game. That's just with all. And I'm a Mavs fan, guys, but if you see Theo subbing in, live bet the Wolves, guys. And I mean, especially if Tim Hardaway Jr. if he left last game with a hamstring, he's probably not playing here. I think that's going to hurt the depth. I love Hardy, love Josh Green, but Pinson should not be seeing minutes on the floor, guys, with all due respect. A couple more games here. We're going to the streets of Golden State here. We got the Warriors laying 3 points at the house versus the Wizards in this one, Rob. Do you think the Wizards can get it done, or do the Warriors get off that 2-game losing streak?
Well, I like the way the Wizards are playing, but I'm not going to bet against the 2-game losing streak either. What I will do, Jay, is what I've done the first 2 games without Curry is I'll just play Jordan Poole props. And that guy only had, I think I had his points and assists the other night, and midway through the third quarter, it was only 12. But then in the fourth quarter, he scored like the first 17 points that the Warriors had. So it kind of falls in increments or in segments of the game divided between him and Clay, who's hitting the threes, who's doing all the scoring. They go to the hot hand. Jordan Poole's numbers, and I didn't look today, and I should have looked earlier, but it was 30.5 for points plus assists the other night, which he went well over. And the odds maker is going to have to start jacking this up because Jordan Poole is going to score and get assists. I think he's going over this 3 straight games now without Steph in the lineup. This way, I don't have to worry about Golden State blowing big leads and not covering. This way, I don't have to worry about, having Washington and having them choke in the end, whatever the case may be. I just think that Jordan Poole is the safest bet in any Golden State game right now to get his points and assists. He's on the floor for like 40 minutes. And when you look at the season statistics, he has more of these things than anybody else on the team. It's crazy to look at his numbers and understand that he's not even a starter in most contests this year. So I'm going to play Jordan Poole once again, points and assists over. I'm not a big prop player, but I like that one.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you out, man. My guy in the chat, he just made me look at something. This guy, Leon Wood, man. I mean, I don't really care about refs, but sometimes shit pays attention. The Warriors are 8-2 straight up last 10 and 9-1 against the spread with this guy, Leon Wood, as the ref, man. We got to check to see if this guy from San Fran or something, man. But regardless to that, I'm only looking Warriors here. I know it's square as hell, but guess what? The Warriors should bounce back here off 2 straight losses. Now, maybe Kuzma's in because the total's coming up and this line is up to 4. It's back down to 3. I don't care. I don't like the spot for the Wizards. I'll be honest with you guys. Usually, like when I find a spot, when I'm looking at a spot, I really don't care who's playing, to be honest with you. This is a team game here. The Wizards coming off 3 straight home games, flying all the way across country with only 1 day of rest to get used to it as well. So, I mean, basically that day, you flying over there. So you really can't even get used to it. You're playing the Warriors. This is a late night sleepy spot. They flew over 3 time zones here as well. First game of a back-to-back. They got the Blazers tomorrow. The Wizards can beat the Blazers tomorrow. I don't think they have a chance tonight versus the Warriors, in my opinion. Warriors coming off a couple of straight losses as well. They love to bounce back at the house as well. Coming off their game versus the Lakers where they lost Selwyn. I think they bounce back here. The Wizards, they can ball, I must say. Remember, they went off on like a 7-game win streak. Then they lost 3 straight. Now they have won the last 2, but those were coming against 2 of the worst teams in the East over there, in the Charlotte Hornets and the Pacers, and a couple of teams that don't play a lot of defense as well. I think the Wizards get locked up tonight. I think the Warriors take them to Smack City. I think that -3 is good money, guys. If Kuzma's in, it might go down even more. Wiggins is questionable as well. I don't care. Kuzma could be in. Wiggins could be out. I still like the Warriors here. And like you said, Rob, I see a pool party tonight. The Wizards will not be able to stop the Warriors offense in this one, my guys. Last game up. Let's go to the streets of Portland here. Got the Blazers laying a point at the house versus the Lakers in this one. This line has come down from 2.5 to 1. I agree with it here, Rob. How you looking at this one?
Yeah, I like the Lakers, Jay. I mean, if I'm going to, on Monday, start to coin a phrase of my own here as we go the end of the season, I'm going to call this a standing spot. I look at these standings and just say LA is in desperate situation right now. They're 13 seed in the West. It's great what they did at the trade deadline, but that doesn't necessarily mean wins. You got to go out and win these games. LeBron has sat the last 2. He's got no business sitting anymore. He probably had no business sitting the previous 2, but they have to have a parade in the third quarter for him. And he can't play the next day because he's out for 2 nights. But he's got to play here, Jay. These games are important. This Portland game, when I look at the standings, It's the direct team ahead of them. They need to beat this team.
Mhm.
The next game before the All-Star break, they got 2 this week, is against New Orleans, a team directly ahead of them in the standings. The Lakers have to have a mindset of 2-0 this week.
Mhm.
Personnel-wise, they're better at this
Facts.
point in time. They're better. And Portland, I think you mentioned it earlier, there's 0 interior defense. If Anthony Davis is interested, it should unlock the cage and he should go crazy. As well as the rest of the team. I feel like if there's a motivational spot on this card for one team, the motivational spot is for LA. I don't think Portland's good enough to, they're good enough to put up a fight, Jay, but they're not good enough to win the fight. And that seems to be
Mhm.
the MO for Portland every single year. Trading Josh Hart probably doesn't help this team any. The Lakers were one of my better plays today, and that's just the way I'm going to roll here. And I may come back with them against New Orleans. We'll see what happens with New Orleans tonight in their game. But for tonight, I do like the Lakers quite a bit to win this game over Portland.
Yeah, I don't know how you could not like the Lakers. Now, obviously, they're going to need to play enough defense in this one. Dame has been the whole team for this. So it's really a simple, man. 700 people watching live, man. If you can hit the like button, subscribe as well, man. But Blazers, this team doesn't play any defense. They try to win with all offense, man. I don't respect it. This is their 4th straight home game, so in theory, they should be hitting their shots. But the Lakers are the much deeper team in this one. You probably could go as far as say that they're much better coached as well. Now, I do think that there's possibility that LeBron might not play. He was in Arizona last night. Now, that's not to say he can't fly in on a private jet, but I seen him taking a few sips of some drink as well. We know LeBron's not, after the record, he really doesn't even care anymore, to be honest with you. But they have a team now, so you kind of have to care. But actually, I'd like to see LeBron get ruled out. That way you get a better line. But maybe he is playing. It's coming down to 1. No matter who's playing in this one. I like the Lakers in this one. They will win this game. The Blazers are a shell, man. Come on now. What are we doing here? And Jeremy Grant. So like I said, without Nurkic, they're horrible to defend the paint. AD should go crazy in this one. Hachimura can go crazy as well. Bumba's not playing yet, but who else, man? Thomas Bryant going. Whoever wants to get in the paint. That's what y'all see SGA's shot chart for last game. He went to the paint every single time, scored damn near every time. Why can't the Lakers do it with a multitude of players, guys? So, like I say, and Jeremy Grant, concussion protocol, he's questionable to play in this game. If Grant doesn't play, guys, when I tell you that the Blazers have no chance of winning this game, Grant is really the only little bit of rim protection that they have left. So he's questionable today with concussion protocol. We'll see if he plays, but I don't think it matters. I think AD goes bunkers in this one. Lakers should get the win in this one, guys. But simply put, and I'll tell you one more thing. I think the NBA wants the Lakers to go on a little win streak here. They want them in the playoffs. They need LeBron to make the playoffs this year. They should win this game, guys. Let's get out of here, Rob. Let's get out of here. We've been in here 42 minutes live. A lot of games, man. But it's time to get to some free NBA picks, Rob. Let the people know what you got going over at Wager Talk, guys. And any free picks you have for us today, my brother.
Yeah, we'll go through the Wager Talk stuff quick, Jay. It's $9 Monday, as it always is, over at wagertalk.com. No reason to not go over and try somebody out. If you're interested in selection packages, it's the day to do so, wagertalk.com. I myself have 3 NBA plays up and available right now. College basketball has been outstanding. I think I'm number 1 over there in profits earned so far this year in college hoops. So once again, wagertalk.com. If you just drop your email address, if you're not currently a member, you get access to all the free video content they produce each and every week, the team of handicappers. If you like Jay's show, you'll certainly like what goes on over there. And you can even catch Jay over there on Wednesdays talking NBA with us at wagertalk.com. Free place here. I'll go right back to where we started. I'll make it official as a J Money official play on the show. I like the Lakers quite a bit. I think that there's no reason why they shouldn't be able. They're underdogs in this game. Just win the game for me, LA. I think they can. I think the win against Golden State is a little bit of a propeller for them to start moving up the standings here. And then one more thing that I like, Jay, and we talked about it as being, I'll use your phrase, sleepy spot. I think the Rockets are just getting way too many points in the same exact situation we had them in against Orlando 2 weeks ago. And Embiid played in that game and played well, but they still barely won. So I think we'll get effort out of the Rockets. I'll take 13.5.
I'm right there with you, man. The top 4 games that I have confidence in is the first Rockets plus a 13.5. Like I say, we talked about plus 14.5 last night. I took some plus 15.5 at the over. I'm sorry. The Rockets, they could get blown out by 20, but I don't see it today. They're 15.5 over. What the fuck are we doing here, man? But in all honesty, man, Rockets, Rockets game, Pelicans, I say you can wait on CJ, but I do think Pelicans cover the first quarter and the full game. Should be a trifecta spot for the Pelicans there. I'm seeing a huge letdown from the Thunder. System play would say take the Wolves in the first quarter, fading the team off a 4-more game road trip. That's what the Mavs are in here and still trying to work out the kinks. I think Wolves first quarter and full game cash in that one. Warriors, late night spot, sleepy spot for the Wizards. Traveled over 3 time zones. Warriors off a couple of straight losses as well. I think they bounced back at the house. Warriors -3 in that one. Lakers, money line, guys. Talked about this one last night. It was at 2.5. I think the Lakers win this game handily, in my opinion. I'd lean Magic plus the 5. I'd lean Knicks first quarter, first half, and I'd lean the Hawks as well in this one, guys. And obviously the Cavs Spurs, we didn't go over that game, but it's pretty simple. You either take the Cavs or you stay off that game, man. But like I say, man, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. Has 717 people in here watching live. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff, man. It's time to focus on NBA now. NFL is over. It's us against the bookies, guys. We will win. Let's get some cash. We out, man. We back tomorrow, guys. Fucking go. Let's go.